Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that's practically invisible, yet it's literally operating all around us, 24/7. We're talking about the mechanics of mass psychological manipulation. I know, it sounds heavy, but the psychology behind it is absolutely fascinating. We tend to look at all the chaos out there and just assume, oh, it's random conflict. But what if it's actually an architecture? What if these massive divisions we see are carefully constructed? Let's peel back the layers on exactly how emotion, identity, and control are used to shape human behavior on a massive scale.
Take a second to just sit with this quote. People think politics is controlled by logic, but most political decisions are controlled by emotion. We really love to believe we're purely rational creatures, right? Especially when it comes to running our societies. We tell ourselves we look at the data, we weigh the pros and cons, and we make the logical choice. But the reality? The reality is that the steering wheel is almost entirely controlled by our emotions.
So you've got this illusion of logic on one side, and then the stark reality of emotional attachment on the other. Division is actually a profound psychological weapon. See, the very second people become emotionally attached to an identity, like a label, a group, a political party, this drastic shift happens. We literally stop thinking independently. We stop questioning power. Instead, we just start fighting each other. And guys, this isn't just everyday run-of-the-mill politics. This is systemic, mass psychological manipulation. Which brings us to a historical truth that's been repeated across centuries. Powerful leaders have always understood one very dangerous fact. A united society is incredibly difficult to control. When people are together, they demand answers. But a divided society, well, that can be managed. It can be controlled emotionally. Because of this, you'll see political systems constantly prioritizing the management of your emotions and stoking those divisions, rather than, actually solving systemic problems. And the absolute easiest way to get that emotional control? It's through identity.
Part 1. The Psychology of Group Identity.
Look, as humans, we are fundamentally wired for connection. We naturally want to belong somewhere. We're actively seeking out that feeling of saying, hey, this is my group. These are my people. But here's the catch. Once your brain strongly connects with a group identity, your logic slowly transforms into blind emotional loyalty. Let's imagine a scenario directly from our sources. Say you've got two people supporting two entirely different political groups. Even if both of those groups make incredibly obvious, documented mistakes, those two people are still going to blindly defend their respective sides. They'll actually twist the facts just to fit their loyalty. Which brings up a pretty massive question, right? Why do people blindly defend their side, even when the facts point the absolute other way? Why abandon logic just to protect a group that has clearly failed?
The psychological answer for this is tribal thinking. When you get emotionally attached to a group, attacking that group suddenly feels intensely personal. Neurologically speaking, when your group is criticized, your brain's pain centers light up exactly as if you were experiencing literal physical pain. It feels like a genuine threat to your survival. Psychologists have documented this extensively. And let me tell you, strategists and politicians, they know exactly how powerful this tribal reflex is. They map it out and they exploit it.
Part 2. Fear, the strongest weapon.
A calm mind thinks carefully. It analyzes the situation. But a fearful mind
Fear controls human behavior way faster than logic ever could. When we're afraid, we react emotionally, and the result is totally immediate. Fear just shuts down deeper questioning. It completely bypasses our critical thinking filters. That's exactly why a highly emotional, fear-based speech is always going to spread like wildfire and hit way harder than a calm, factual discussion.
Let's look at exactly how this fear gets packaged. Your community is in danger. Others will take your rights. Only we can protect you. Imagine hearing those exact messages broadcasted every single day, on your phone, on the TV, straight from your leaders. After hearing that repeatedly, the fear doesn't just pass through you. It slowly conditions your mind. It basically sets up a permanent camp in your psychology. And once that fear controls a population, they will gladly trade their independent thought for just the promise of safety.
Part 3. Divide and Rule. The Ancient Strategy.
We're looking at a step-by-step systemic playbook here. Step 1, you divide people emotionally, using that identity and fear we were just talking about. Step 2, you distract them. You get everyone so fired up that they spend all their energy fighting each other. And then step 3, evasion. While everyday people are completely consumed by all this infighting, those in power face way less scrutiny. I mean, a divided society doesn't hold its leaders accountable simply because everyone is too busy glaring sideways at their neighbors instead of looking up. So here's the crucial point. What exactly gets lost in all that noise? Well, it's the tangible, real-world questions being ignored. Things like, why are jobs limited? Why are prices constantly going up? Why are our fundamental systems failing? Instead of uniting to demand answers to these incredibly important shared problems, people are deliberately kept busy fighting an emotional war against each other. Make no mistake, the distraction is the point.
Part 4. The Trap. Why people get trapped.
The truly terrifying reality here is that the most dangerous manipulation is the one people simply don't realize is happening. Why? Because from the inside, emotional manipulation doesn't feel like manipulation at all. It feels like loyalty. It feels like you're doing the right thing. Just think about someone who grows up hearing only one side of a story over and over again. Slowly but surely, their mind inevitably accepts that one side as the absolute truth. And because of that deeply ingrained truth, we hit a major psychological wall. The brain naturally avoids any information that hurts its identity. So later in life, when that person is handed undeniable facts that challenge their core beliefs, it feels deeply uncomfortable. It causes massive cognitive dissonance. So what do? Well, they reject the facts to protect the identity. Actually, that's exactly why you'll see people fiercely defending emotional beliefs, even when those exact same beliefs are actively harming their own quality of life.
Part 5. Escaping the Emotional Trap.
Now, real intelligence isn't just about stockpiling facts. It really begins when a person learns to think independently. So here are the pillars of a truly strong mind. First, it thinks consciously, not just reacting emotionally or blindly. Second, it outright rejects blind emotional loyalty to any group. Third, a strong mind absolutely refuses to hate entire groups of people because it recognizes that division is just a tactic. And finally, it questions the manipulation itself.
When you learn emotional control, you become undivided. And let me tell you, people who cannot be emotionally divided are incredibly difficult to manipulate.
If you only take one thing away from this explainer today, make it this core thesis. The greatest political weapon throughout all of human history is not physical force. It never has been. It is emotional control. The very moment people hand over their independent thought to a group identity, division wins. The architecture does its job perfectly. But hey, the inverse is also true, and that's exactly where we find hope. The moment people become aware of manipulation, real freedom begins. Awareness is the antidote here. Once you actually see the strings that can't pull you anymore, understanding how your mind is being targeted is the absolute first vital step toward reclaiming your own cognitive freedom.
Understanding the mind really is the key to all of this. But it does leave us with one final kind of unsettling question. If our identities and our fears have been weaponized against us for decades, whose thoughts are you actually thinking today? Reclaim your mind, guys. I'll see you in the next explainer.